So I could pull it up, and this is something I can stand on, which is really, really important. No friends, no favors, be impartial. Everybody goes down together, so be honest, because if somebody made a mistake, it's a mistake. We're just trying to find out what happened so we don't create this mistake or this situation again. Mistake situations are called error traps. So it's like a hole in the sidewalk. That's an error trap. If you step in it and fall. So how would we fix that error trap? Fill in a hole, put barricades around it, educate people. There's a lot of different things we can do. Be honest. If you don't know something, I just don't know. We haven't got that conclusion. Understand who's the reader and what is the purpose of your report. And it's not just about an accident. You can do reports on a number of things. Like here, I'm telling you guys, respect the culture of guitar. When you ask questions, don't offend people. Just be very honest about it. Just ask them. The goal is to provide accurate, unbiased information and to create a long-term perspective. Now, NFPA 901 is an investigative document. It gives you a framework of what to follow. Okay? Hey, you guys in the corner. Hello? Excuse me. Excuse me. What NFPA document we just talked about? You guys, you, right there, the best. Thank you. Only because you can still see it up there. Okay? My expectation is not to see the back of anybody's head. Okay? Thank you. This is a tough room after lunch. Okay, anyway, so what you want to do is when you look at it, it's a document, it's a real good way to develop your plan, what you're going to do. There's International Business Code, it gives you definitions, which is really good when you want to lay things out so you have a common definition of how things are being defined. Also, it's just facts. Your company report, sometimes it's very short, but it doesn't really paint the full picture. Okay, so create the document, give it a document number. Reports, they lead to a root cause analysis. It could be a training report, inspections, budgeting, status, personnel reports, and analysis. That's really what we're looking at. We're trying to get all the information we can get. Okay? What is the use of a report? Why investigate? It documents the incident or the occurrence. It helps you plan work in the future. So when you're looking at something and we realize that we didn't meet the engineering criteria, now we have something to go back and say, guess what? Now, for those of you guys know this, you're in the building business. It's 3 days of paperwork to every day of construction. So if it takes you 3 years to build a building, it's like 10 years on the drawing board. Fair? What happens in 10 years? Customer changes, code changes, need change. All these things change and you now have to adapt your plan. So when we did that, did we have our incident reflect these changes that were required? That's what we're looking at. We want to motivate staff, keep things, information, keep it moving. We want to control and coordinate efforts and keep the loose cannons and keep people from going crazy with different information, speculation. It also helps you keep down the influence of the rumor mill. When something happens, everybody says other things are going on. Look at your costs, your documents, your forecast, and start looking at bigger pictures. Because when you drop the water and the stone, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. That's what we're looking at. Inspections, work request. Okay, if you had an incident and you said you fix it, where's the work request? Where's the contract? Where's the receipt? What materials did you buy? These are things that all come back in because remember, like I said in the very beginning, you're getting ready to set this up for court. You may set this up for your boss who's going to say, hey, you know, how do we stop this? How much do we have to spend? You have a loading dock and somebody gets hurt, they hurt their back. That injury is 50 grand. Now you have 4 people hurt, 50 grand each, that's $200,000. Your boss says, how can I fix this from happening again? And then you said, you know what, for $20,000 I could buy a pneumatic lift. And I could lift things up and put them somewhere without having anybody have an exposure to getting hurt. So these are things that are all the fruit of your labor. The report assistant discussions, findings. We had a generator room at Hammond, and if the generator room got hot, the fire system shut down the generator. If we shut down the generator, redundant generator got shut down automatically. Then we had a hospital that went dark with patients. We can't have that. So what do we have to do? Look at all the things we were doing, change some of the tolerances, and change the ventilation method. A generator room is confined space. It's not meant for occupancy. It has a hazard. It could be atmospheric, it could be exhaust, it could be a lot of things. So what we started doing, instead of doing negative pressure ventilation, we did positive pressure ventilation. We pushed the bad air out. So these are things that you learn from starting to look around. Also, we realized if we moved the heat detector another 3 feet away from the generator, we're still within the tolerances of the design of the smoke of the heat detector, but we could change the rating from 100 Fahrenheit to 150 Fahrenheit and still be within our parameters. So these are things that you learn when you start drilling down and asking why. Compare and contrast. Look at what's going on. Look what's going on with the industry. Are we doing the right things? Did our room match other rooms? Did we do what we had to do from an engineering point of view? Okay. The purpose of the incident report, just driving this home, it's the facts of the incident, facts and circumstances, communicated method serves as a record, present the data, findings, and issues in an intelligent, concise manner. This is a decision tool for you. It helps your bosses find out what's going on. You're in the driver's seat with this. All right, in terms of task, it's human and corporate relationships. This is a risk management tool. We're trying to stay on top of things. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? We're trying to reduce risk by understanding what really happened. Remember, you're going to prepare this report as soon as possible. The role of the incident report is to highlight hazards with risks. The hospital or an organization, my background is in construction of high rises in New York City, hospitals all over the world. I've worked in Qatar, Singapore, and New York. We want to suggest corrective action, but we want to put it into a discussion format with subject matter experts. Bring in your vendor, your fire alarm vendor, bring in your engineer. What happened? What do you think we could do? Because sometimes their expertise is way beyond your scope, your ability, you know. Where do you start as soon as possible? Let's talk about a fire incident. What happened? Where? Who? When? Why? How bad? How much? And I have a fire here I'm going to go through for a second. Loss information, cost stabilization efforts, relocation if we have to shut down and move people. Restoration of the business and sites. At Hammond, we had a clinic building that's not open at night. We had a wall-mounted air conditioner. The wall-mounted air conditioner shorted out, caught fire. Fire number one. It burned off the wall, landed on a couch. Fire number two. No smoke detector in the vestibule, so it was allowed to churn and burn. When the smoke got prominent, it hit the motion detector, the doors opened. Now the smoke went into the building. The fire was limited to the vestibule, but the smoke damage throughout the building was extensive. So this caused the clinic to shut down for a few days. What happens when you shut down? No revenue. What happens when there's no revenue? No jobs. So what did we do? We did a risk assessment. I'll get into it in a second. So the cause and the origin. The cause was the air conditioner. The origin was the lobby. Okay? So your report has a cover sheet, an executive summary. The executive summary is for the executives, for leadership. 1 or 2 pages. Just tell them what it was. Construction, occupancy, protection, exposures, what happened. You will give them some basic information. And then you write a narrative behind that. The narrative is for everybody else. It's what happened. It's a chronologic. And then you have the method of collection. You use forms, supplemental forms. So you may have a questionnaire about your fire alarm. Then you may have the cut sheets behind it, the data sheets. that go with the system. Any supplemental report, the fire department, the police department, Qatar Civil Defense, those reports are your supplemental reports. Your diagrams, photographs, then you start making conclusions, findings, this is what we found, this is what we learned. And when you have your lessons learned and your conclusions, you develop recommendations. After you develop recommendations, you start looking at cost. What is this gonna cost to fix? All right, so basically the frame is simple: date, time, location, event type, description. October 2018, what happened in Doha? You guys remember? We had a year and a half of rain in 5 hours. Everybody got flooded? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a different event, but what did we learn? Sump pumps. So I was at Sidra, so what did I do? I had 48 elevators. That means I have 48 elevator pits. So I started turning my elevator pits into sumps. So we ended up putting sump pumps in the elevator pits to pump out the water. So it's a collection point, which limited damage. But we used what we have, and we didn't figure that out until we started writing the incident report. Then we looked at names, roles, status. Is this a person that we interviewed? Is it a member of the public? Is it an employee? Is it a technician? Is it somebody special? Who were the victims? Who were the witnesses? Did anybody get hurt? How bad was the injury? What could we have done that was different? All right? Now, how do you control something? You could do it administratively. Well, basically you're looking at elimination, substitution. Then you're looking at an engineering control. What else? An administrative control and protective equipment. All depends on what you can do. Factual description, clear, concise, chronologic, no opinions. This is what happened, not what I think happened. End of the day, the lawyer's gonna say, I don't care what you say. What happened? What are the facts? Impact, injuries, type, the list, medical aid provided. Was it basic life support, advanced life support? That's what we're trying to share. That's what we're trying to drill down to. What was the property damage like? We look at basically life safety, instant stabilization, property conservation. That's the hierarchy. Immediate corrective actions, what did we do? We pumped out the water. We treated the water with bleach to avoid mold down the road. We removed sheetrock. The interview. Frame the conversation, open questions. Hello, my name's Robert. Can you tell me what happened? Can you tell me what you saw? I'm trying to learn. Please tell me. It's not interrogation. It's a conversation. Open questions, nothing leading. And like I say, you're making a roadmap, a timeline of what happened. Okay? Interview, it's details, it's a narrative, it's new information, and you're developing trust with the person you're talking to. Now, all you guys are fire engineers. You're gonna have a fire in your career. You can have two kinds of fires. You can have the fire that's nothing, and you can have the fire that's, oh my God, where you can't buy enough water. Interrogation produces defensive postures, and it closes off people, and it causes avoidance where they don't want to talk to you because they feel threatened. You don't want that. You want to be nice as pie. Conversation tips. Hey, can you tell me, walk me through this? Can you share with me? I don't know. I'm confused. Help me out. Tell me more, please. Please, please, please is the common word there. Help me understand. What was work like here before the incident? What was being done? Tell me about your work environment. Talk to me about your supervisors. Talk about leadership. Did they understand what was happening? Oh, we reported this broken door several times and nobody did anything, then we had a fire, nobody can get out. Okay, fine, document. Please describe the work process, the flows, the tools, the training, the qualifications. Did the fire alarm work the right way? Was the smoke detector placed? Well, they moved the wall. Well, it changes everything, doesn't it? So those are things that we want to look at. Avoid yes and no answers. No confrontational posture, no bad attitude. Did you see what happened versus what did you see? PPE, was PPE in use? It depends on how you say it. It's fragile, it's delicate. Because people don't want to get caught off guard and commit themselves or get in trouble. And the idea is not to have a trouble environment. I'm just trying to find out what happened. We're just trying to fix it, don't happen again. That's all. And it takes time. It takes a lot of time to hone that skill. What did your supervisor say? Did the equipment work the way it was supposed to? Instead of saying, was it working right? Did the smoke detector go off? What's one of the big problems with smoke detector placement in buildings? They're too close to the HVAC, so they won't work. Because the air blows away or pulls it, you're not gonna get it. Avoid subjective statements. We don't want people saying, their interpretation, just really what happened, what's the fact. Incidents are managed as a crime scene, nothing leaves. Photograph everything, pictures, pictures, pictures. That's the big thing. I had a situation in New York where they were moving a tower crane and a guy amputated a finger. I got called the next day, I went in, photographed everything, locked up the whole place, all the tools, nobody in, nobody out. We're gonna take a look and see what goes on. And then the police department comes in with Department of Buildings, and they wanna start taking things for engineering studies. Did this tool work the right way? And what I did was I brought in the tool manufacturer, they sent me a salesman, I threw him out. I wanted a service technician. The service technician who works with this tool every day came in, and he looked at the tool, and he says, where's the safety handle? And the guy that lost the finger said, well, it gets in the way. Well, if you had the safety handle on, you'd still have 10 fingers. So these are things that we want to share with you. Take measurements for accurate placement. Do you ever notice when there's a car accident, cars in the road, the cops measure from one corner to the tree. They measure from this corner to the building. They measure from this corner to another item. And they basically, through dimensions, they pin the car down to exactly where it was and match it to a photograph. That's what we want you guys to do. We want you guys to understand where things are and that you're placing things correctly. It doesn't get lost in the shuffle. Document the equipment in use. What equipment was being used? All right, this is what we did at Hammock. We basically came out with a report. The report, oh, I did something wrong. The report had the heading on it and just the name and the date, and then my information was down the bottom. All right, and name, date, title. Your information, my phone number, and how to contact me. That's all you give. So the report has a cover and nobody can see what's inside it. Okay, executive summary, 1 to 2 pages, written for leadership, provides an overview of the incident. The main points have to be covered. And remember, the people that you're sending this to are not gonna read the whole report. They just wanna get a gist. 1 or 2 pages, bang, that's it, they don't care. Start with the situation, who's 1 or 2 paragraphs. It's a big picture document. We wanna make sure that you keep it short, no jargon. Nothing that's gonna get somebody lost. No abbreviations, no acronyms. Use bullet points and subheadings, which will be easier for them to scan, because you want to get information with the least amount of words. All right, never use I, that's not good, and just say this, that, and the other thing. All right, basically what you're doing is you're stopping the dominoes from falling with your report. Okay, so that's what you're trying to do. No opinions, no blame. We're not going to blame anybody. We're just trying to figure things out. The narrative, it's based on facts, locations, time, date, type of incident, the affected area, the unit, details of the loss. Is there a cost? Actions taken. We're looking at life safety, insulin stabilization, property conservation, persons involved. Who's injured? Anybody dead? How did it happen? What they die of? Can you get medical reports? Can you get a medical report where it's sensitive and they redact the name? So you have an understanding of what happened to that individual. There's a lot of ways to skin a cat here, as they say. Immediate corrective actions. What did you do right now? We had a clinic fire. We did a board up. The windows that were broken, we put plywood over. We started ventilation on the building. We started cleaning. These are all things that you have to do. What was the environment, the conditions that contributed to this event? What we learned with the fire that we had is that we had a couch someone brought in from home that was full of polyurethane. That's why we had so much smoke generation. The couch did not meet the policy. We went back and looked at the policy. The hospital was supposed to buy their own furniture that was fire resistant. That did not happen because somebody turned around and went, that couch looks good right there. Came out of my mother's house. That's why we had so much smoke. Injuries, contact details, what hospital they go to. I was a fire chief in New York. I had a bus accident. The bus got hit by a tractor trailer. 51 people went to one hospital, 6 people went to a trauma center. But we have to do victim tracking and family unification. There's a lot of things that go on that's involved in your report. Okay, scene management, get an overview of what's going on, any kind of damages that were done, the vehicles, the roadway, any contributing factors. These are things that we want to look at. Data collection, site visit. Best during the incident, photos ASAP is before things are getting moved while people are there. Surveys, incidents, social media. You kind of look, social media is a whole different animal now. Polls, sometimes you'll get some different things that come up. Transactions, purchases, work orders, observations, forms. You have to develop this on your own. Look at what your company has. Look what the standards are. Go to NFPA as your guideline. First part is directly involved people. Second part is shared data. Third part is unrelated data. Is there an industry trend? So what we did when we had the air conditioning fire, we did a risk assessment on all the buildings we had and where the air conditioners were, and we went to the industry and said, what is the risk assessment? We found out any air conditioner over 10 years old has to go. A good air conditioner is 1 to 5 years old. A yellow risk is anywhere from 6 to 10 years. A red risk is beyond 10 years because things are worn. The refrigeration is different, the product is different, how it works is different. So these are things that we're sharing with you, okay? Your forms, reports, fire and affected area, QCD, police response reports. Sometimes they take time and they're sensitive to get. HMC, EMS, if somebody got hurt, you're trying to get that information. Some consultants, if they have it, guys like me will come in or they'll bring other people in. How many consultants were here for the World Cup? How many? A lot, right? Any related codes? Okay, electric code, fire code. Supplemental forms, QCD in the cause and origin report. Any engineering reports, security, past incidents, contractors. I had a contractor put a compressor on one of the job sites, but he put it next to the air intakes on the building. And then the compressor burnt one night when they were doing work at night, and smoke got brought into the building and redistributed. And then we found out that the smoke detectors that were in the duct system, duct detectors, were not maintained. So the smoke went right by them and redistributed. So these are all things you learn when you start doing your root cause analysis. Okay? We looked at maintenance, inspection forms, our contractor. Did the insurance company get involved? What did they find? That gives you a lot of information. Okay, loss control reports, loss inventory, all costs. Incident site documentation, investigation includes your photos. Are there security cameras? Can you get a video and see what goes on? What we did at a different facility, we had the security cameras looped into the fire command station. So when the alarm went off, the camera automatically cued to the screen in fire command. And we knew two things right away. If the people were running like nuts, we had something going on. If everybody's kind of casual, you may have had a malfunction. But these are things that you want to learn from. What's the writing on the wall? List the assets, the damages, the affected equipment, actions taken before and after the situation. Is it consistent with your questions as you go to different people? Because they will talk amongst themselves and you're trying to get this thing from taking a life of its own. All right, industry trends, references, list those affected in the business, any interruptions, any costs. When we lost our clinic, we had a clinic, I think something like 98 people were out of work for a week. So that's a lot, because that means the week there was no revenue to support 98 people. That's expensive. actions from other departments, the timeline, was the timeline of the incident, under whose authority, who was in charge? Was it the contractor in possession of your property? Or was it you that were in possession of your own property and you mismanaged it? Something happened, you had exposure no one thought about. And that's the purpose of the report, is to get you to think about what's going on. Notification chain, make a list. Who do you have to call? And where's the priority of making those phone calls? Okay? My first call is always to my immediate boss. Let him know what happened. And then I said to him, I need to call the administrator on duty and let him know. But I want to let my boss know, so when he gets the call, he's already been told by me what's going on. You're a CEO, right? Do you want to get told by your guy first something didn't work right, or you want someone else to call you and say it didn't work right? You want it in the family. It's your same thing. If there's a miscalculation, who made the mistake and how do we fix it so it doesn't happen again? You know, those are things that we're looking at. Understanding the overview and what's the bigger picture. Okay? You guys have all seen this? Strength, weakness, opportunities, threats. This is good for a single salient problem. So when you start looking at something, kind of like you want to look at and make a list, 4 buckets where things go. Behaviors. Was there an unsafe behavior or condition that contributed to this? Identify needs, change in policy. I had one policy where we had a patient get very sick, and then we realized the policy was wrong. And the policy went through executive review, it was accepted. And we realized that we were moving patients in a hospital with a halfway O2 bottle. We said, no, you can't do that. Whenever you move a patient from point A to point B, you have to get a fresh bottle for the move, so they last longer. And we also want a longer cord, so we get the patient to destination, we can plug them into the wall. Why is this important? Because in theory, it takes 5 minutes to get the patient from point A to point B, and then you should be inside the queue within 5 minutes to get the patient into an x-ray. That's the policy, that's how it works. Then you find out as you're in transit, the patient that's in x-ray goes into a code. Now your whole timeline is screwed. Everything you planned, so the policy was wrong. We need to do 2 things. We need to make sure we had a full bottle of oxygen when they were going. We need to make sure the nurse had a respiratory therapist with them, so if something went wrong, they were there. And we got a longer tubes we can plug into the house O2 system so that we're good all day. But these are all discoveries along the way when something goes wrong. Okay, we want constructive feedback from the participants. What do you think? How can we improve this? There's an old joke. A guy broke down outside of an insane asylum.